Not all landlords are bad landlords.
Absolutely.
Just he listen. Don't sign with he listen.
I prefer Morocco. I'm joking. No. Welcome again. I'm sorry, but our second guest left. You know, we have busy lives, and we try to, we took his his time to come with us and discuss. Thank you very much again. And I really, you will give me your contact, and we will invite you again to talk. We have a lot of topics, and I think you can go against them, each one, because you're a critic. You're a critic. You say.
Let's say he has definitely more information than us.
Yeah.
And definitely he can give us as students, but also as people, more insight on the Maastricht situation.
As a woman, not no woman, as a human. Sorry. I mean,
As a woman.
A Freudian slip.
This is not vodka. This is not vodka.
Water. So let's go back. Because Anna said something really important. And I wanted to tell you this, but no one said something for the moment because already we tried to say everything. But about the how you say when like the landlord said only girls, Dutch girls. What is
about
that?
discrimination?
Discrimination.
We were speaking about discrimination.
We said this, but I want to say another one.
Crisis.
I want to open another thing about landlords taking advantage against students. You say, what do you mean? What do you mean? Wait. People arrive to Maastricht, find a room, give the deposit. Remember, oh my God, it's really bad. The landlord, when the student or whatever leaves the apartment of the room, keeps the deposit. And the student do nothing.
Without any reason.
Lies, because the students, I know people, I can put my hand in the fire, didn't broke nothing, didn't touch nothing, and the landlord keep the deposit. Being like rude and stuff, and of course the student think he doesn't have power. Same situation I said before.
Let's say
why?
Why? From my personal experience, I had two lawsuits with two landlords because they didn't want to give my deposit back. And one was he was saying that we left garbage, we left drugs. He said as well alcohol in there. You think I would leave drugs in the house?
You leave money for him. No way.
But in the sense, they find awful justification just to not give you the deposit, and they think that since you're going away, you won't ask your deposit back. I think that's a really big problem. But
Please.
Okay, so how to put it? We need to be balanced. And I want to disclaim, as a disclaimer, not all landlords are bad landlords.
Absolutely. I
also good ones.
forgot to say.
just he listen. Don't sign with he listen.
No way.
It's a bad piece of.
No, we got this. Please, no, you're right.
Not all landlords are bad landlords. The problem is that, yes, you have bad apples in every basket, and they ruin the experience for everyone, basically. What happens is that when you have, and this is almost becoming now an economic problem, is that when there is a shortage, the advantage is in the hands of the landlord, because if you don't like it, go away and I'll find next day 20 more people who want to take the place.
Exactly.
So that is a very interesting challenge. How are we going to change the housing situation in such a way that we filter out the bad apples and that the good landlords are being basically rewarded? And what you see is that there are landlord organizations which also play a very important role in setting housing policy. And that they, for instance, also say we don't want those bad apples. We should come up with a new solution. For instance, a stupid example, but there's what they call this keurmerk, like it's almost like a quality label, which is a project which was started by one of these landlord associations, saying that we have to guarantee minimum quality. So it's not only like hygiene and like access and biking access, for instance, but it's also, for instance, having like a fire alarm on each floor, because it's not mandatory to have a fire alarm on each floor if you have like less than 2, I think, units per floor. And this is a very interesting topic. How are you going to incentivize good behavior? There's one economic argument, by having more supply than demand, then
The quality,
the quality will go up. But yeah, we've just talked about it. The national shortage is such that we will not see this happening right away. Another option, what we are exploring, is to give a license to rent. So basically, not anyone can rent a studio or an apartment or a room anymore. You need a special license to get this.
Okay.
And there are pilots, like test cases being conducted throughout the Netherlands. I'm a very strong proponent that we should have something like this in Maastricht as well. And then the idea is basically give a license to everyone. And the moment that we get complaints from a certain landlord, whoever it is,
as you
we
said,
take the license away.
complain.
And there it comes all down to, exactly, is that it is very easy for the city or for any type of government to ignore a certain problem if we don't have facts.
We don't
And this
have
goes
people
back to the
announcing.
point, exactly, that students and everyone needs to complain about these issues. And then you also get to, indeed, another question or another issue is the information. Whose responsibility is it to spread, to make people aware that you have this right? And to this end, I'm happy to share with you that as one of the results of this housing crisis and the critical questions which I asked, now for the first time on the information website of the university, specifically designed for the students, my Maastricht, now there is a clear article explaining you what are the steps and the procedure you need to take to file a complaint. What do you need to do if you are confronted with a case of discrimination? So here you have a case where politics can be beneficial, can work. And this goes back indeed again to the question of, okay, get active politically, strengthen each other, make it sure that, like, because in the end, there's also the problem. If I tomorrow if I don't get re-elected, or if there's not another student-minded representative being elected in the council, then these topics will not come as easily up again.
Yeah.
Can I ask you this? Are you at least from your own perspective, the one who is mainly representing student in the directory?
Well, if you ask my opponents, my colleagues, they will say no. Everybody is interested in the vote and in representing the interests of the students, and that in a certain way that is true. Of course, when you are a representative when you become a politician, or when you become elected, there happens something in your mind that you really start to become aware of all the people you represent. And you're not just representing a certain population, you're representing the entire city. So I've also become very involved in issues which are not related to students at all, which I wasn't aware of at all. But the question is, okay, what guarantee do I have that my work will be pursued. And that is dependent in the end in this current system on elections. And look, I mean, I don't care if I get re-elected or if another party gets re-elected, as long as they do this important work of giving a full picture. What I was shocked by, or if anything that tells you something, I think, is that this whole housing crisis has popped up because I was the one putting it on the agenda. I organized this town hall and I put the issue in the way to the city government that they could not ignore it anymore.
Yeah, because in a way, let's say the housing problem has been persistent for many years now. Like in a smaller way, but
Yes.
now with COVID has literally exploded.
Yes, yes, and this explosion was not visible, even worse so. This is very interesting. Is that so? What happened if we go back a little bit? What happened exactly? Is that by the end of August, I was receiving a lot of signals from all aspects of the city, telling me, Alex, there's a crisis. There's not enough place. And then what I did was I put out on Sharing is Caring and the Facebook groups, asking people, look, if you don't have a place, if you're struggling in this housing shortage, please send me a mail, let me know what is your situation. And so I get a clear picture. And I got an amazing response. I think I had like within 5 hours, something like 150 people, and by the end of the weekend, 3 days, I had like almost 400.
I can imagine all the people this year, like.
Because can you imagine 400 emails of people telling you their stories of what kind of shit they got in?
And they're desperate.
And they are desperate. And what can you do? What can you do?
Can I ask? Because I don't know. He already knows. I heard this number. Middle of August this year, middle of August, end of September, I heard a number. Not only from students, but general. There was a number of waiting list.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about 10,000.
No.
Less.
No. 10,000.
But not only students, general. Even like families, even couples. That's why only in Maastricht in 1 month.
Okay, so there is a very, very big waiting list for these social housing corporations.
Yes, also, yes.
But those are different kind of waiting lists. Those are more like waiting lists in the sense of if they already have a place.
They have a place, okay.
And if something clears up, then they will get first in line to get
the government place. How we call it? The Casa Popolare.
Social place.
Social place.
Social housing.
social
Yeah.
housing.
Yeah. And let's say, I need to say to my Italian friends that Casa Popolare is not like in Italy. In some places in Italy are really bad.
No, it's not.
You understand? If I show you guys, you Italians, the social houses in Belgium, we saw them. In Belgium and in Germany, in the Netherlands, the government is alive, is there, is taking care about them. And people won't believe. My father was shocked.
I think
He saw them, he was like, no, I don't believe this is social houses. I was like, yes. That's why Anna before said here, something works. And you said no. But I want to invite you to my lovely Sicily. I love Sicily, I don't have nothing to complain, but there are some things,
Let's say, I think, especially Maastricht as a city, as as a duty to represent Europe as the center of it, as the
Absolutely.
place where Europe started in a way, and being so international, being so student, oriented. I think it should be really a place where we develop students, where we push, the interest towards students rather than, as you say, obviously we need to think about other people, but we should see that this place has become as a university city, a campus city, as you were saying, and push it toward that, because I think that could only enrich society in a way.
It depends. I mean, yes. but we should also recognize the incompatibility between those two lifestyles.
Absolutely.
That's what I was telling you, like as soon as the clubs were opening now, even though during COVID, I was walking through the streets and I could see at 11, 12 o'clock students crawling home.
Wasted.
Completely wasted, puking all over the place. As a city, you also don't want that, and you shouldn't want that. And but at the same time, you are a university and I really, really, really wish every student to, in your first years, when you are for the first time free and independent and adult, go get wasted. It's part of your exploration of becoming adult and so on.
Yeah.
But there's a conflict now happening here between those two. And I believe, to be honest, looking at both sides, that the problem is that what we're talking about is that we have basically now got the entire city center one big campus. Because let's face it, most of the housing in the city center is now occupied by students.
Yeah, because the faculties are in the center.
Not only because of that, because this limitation on refurbishment and student housing doesn't apply in the city center.
Oh.
So it is super interesting for landlords to actually buy something in the city center because then they don't need to get this license to rent to students.
Okay.
When you get to my argument is that you need time to adapt to the local lifestyle. You cannot expect a 18, 19-year-old to have the same kind of lifestyle what you would have when you're 26, 27, 28. You start getting old at some point. You don't want to go out every night.
Understanding from the society should be
exactly. And so we need to create a buffer between those two lifestyles, giving the space for the youngest, the freshmen, the bachelor students, to have like a big or a couple big student campuses where basically they live like in almost like a village. Absolutely. You have their own food, you have their own nightclub, you have everything you want. And that's where you can do whatever you want. And once you grow older, let's say you go start your master degree, or you have a PhD degree or a postdoc, then you get access to, or you not access, you would be incentivized, because it should still be open access to everyone. But then you should be incentivized to actually go not live in the campus, but go live in the city center. And then what you get is a much more coherence, consistency, much more understanding. And then you get a complete different vibe and representation as well. I mean, let's also say it, and it's true, not everyone living in Maastricht, local resident, is against students. Not at all. There's a lot of local residents which are welcoming to students and who recognize the power, the potential. But the problem is that the people who are the most angry, the most upset at students, they are often also the most organized.
Yeah.
And organized politically then. And then they organize these kind of a lobby groups and also some kind of a demonstration, but much more active then, much more influential. And they manage to make these policy proposals, which then creates this disruption in the market. And that is how the cycle basically
grows.
Yes, but of course that the locals, like the people lives in Maastricht, like the older, the adults people has more power because they know.
Yes.
But I told you, as you said before, there is also good landlords, and I need to answer for that. There is also bad students. So
Absolutely.
in that case, the landlord had to let you pay more, not only the deposit, more.
And there is a reason why also there is this lower
Absolutely,
landlord
yeah,
can
yeah,
keep
absolutely.
the deposit.
Absolutely, yeah. So I want to answer also this and tells you that the issue comes from the students itself, from the man. Because, bro, I was, I'm not a student anymore, but when you're a student, you don't know. You are afraid. You don't, I said it before. Looks like I'm telling the same things, but it's actually, I'm coming to the same, like, affirmation, like, confirmation of what I think, because the people from Maastricht knows how life goes and
They want their own lifestyle that they always lived, and I completely get it.
yes.
Like I'm no one to disrupt anybody's life.
Yes.
You know, and I actually the things you said, you really made me think the fact that students that come here are not ready to accept another culture, because in a way they don't expect especially in the Netherlands a big cultural impact if they come from Europe, especially if they come from Europe. So they come here, for example, though, as an Italian, there's a ton of Italians, you don't feel the difference.
Let me give you two examples. One, it was right after the income, and I was walking over Square Plane 92.
Yes.
And it was 2 o'clock at night, and there was a group of maybe two or three students, young people, and they were walking to the square with a boombox. And I get it. The guy wants to impress the girls, and they're going home and party nonstop. Been there, done that. But then, if you know the fact that this Square 92 is a huge echo chamber. That basically, if you are living in the in those apartments, you can hear when people talk on Café Zuid.
No way.
Yes, yes. So can you imagine living there? It's
With a boombox.
quite costly rent you pay, or an expensive place you pay, and you're waking up at 2 o'clock at night because of some Spanish or Italians. I have to say they were like Latin.
Yeah.
Making noise, and I went to them and I told them, dude, turn it off. Realize that you're other people here, but they don't realize that yet. And but I also say, I myself, I've been a student for quite a while, and as I mentioned, I was active in the nightlife, and I did parties, and I, did my fair share, and I also realized that when we were organizing parties and illegal raves as well, all over the place, it was because we didn't have a proper nightclub in Maastricht. Right now this has changed because we have now Complex and the Muziekgieterij is coming up. But basically what I'm trying to say is that the city is not yet designed for the huge student population which it has.
Yes.
And there should be, the simple fact that after 2 o'clock, the only place you can go, or you used to be able to go, was the Feestfabriek on the market.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And that's also like another example. Then what they do is they put those nightclubs there because it's controllable. The police force is too small as well for the city. And they do it because, then when everybody comes out, then we can control the situation. We've got 6-7 police cars and we can control it. But another way of approaching it is don't put closing hours. People drink like the last beer, the last shot at 4:50, 4:45, right before closing hours, and then they walk outside, everybody at the same time, and you've got this huge chaos on the street. This will last.
Yeah.
Don't put a closing hours. Let people leave whenever they want to leave. Let the bar owner manage decide when he wants to close. And then you have a much better spreading out of that traffic.
Yes. Also, you won't work with music because you're already leaving. You
well.
won't go partying around the city because you had your party, you're leaving.
You decide yourself when.
You don't need to go to a house party anymore because you've got a place to go, which has better speakers, better DJ.
True. Yeah.
So in this way, the city is transitioning from an old industrial residential city into what I was talking about, this knowledge hub, and we're trying to invest in the industry, in like a new form of economy and so on much more entrepreneur and so on. And this takes time. And this is when we come to this generational issue of what is our politics.
Yeah, so it's really interesting this thing about separating the nightlife from the city life, let's say, from the normal person's life, because yeah, it really would make more people comfortable in what they are doing, especially, if they are behaving like kids, that everybody we are.
The fundamental shift needs to be that we're not going to fight, to confront, we're going to accommodate and we're going to manage. And that is the way. Like right now we are in this repressive mode. We want to limit. We need to know that we cannot limit.
There is no reason. Also because limiting would only push people to do more.
And that's exactly the point. And on top of that, you're fighting a wave of water. People will do something else, but even more so, we have to be honest. We don't have the means, even as a city. There's not just enough police.
That's
to
really
actually
honest.
manage the whole situation.
That's really honest. Not many people would say that.
Because I myself, I was living in the city center a while, and I had my exam the next morning, and I used to be the one who would always turn up the volume at max at a party, and now I was complaining, damn it, you guys are keeping me awake, and I wanted to call the police, and I was like thinking, it is so difficult to realize, to become aware of all the interests which are playing.
Yes.
And that's the difficult, what I was talking
Until
about,
you
the
are in
moral
that
dilemma.
spot.
You need to weigh those two interests.
Because now I had my party life, like in the last 3 years. He left. We left this. We lived this situation together. But now I work, and I always was working here. But I understand. I see that they are touching my interest, because in the morning I had to wake up at 5:30, at 6, at 7, at 8, and they come back. I'm leaving for work, and I saw my friends coming back for a house party. So huge different from two planets, different planets. So I understand you, like you want to call the police, but
let me tell you another example, what I liked very much, because in that same place I was living, I threw once a house party on the rooftops, super cool, and the neighbor next morning was super pissed at me, and he knocked at the door and was like super angry and so on, so on, so on. Big scandal. But I told him, dude, you're the one who has a bar here right next to me. Every night until 1 o'clock in the morning, I hear your clients making noise downstairs. My experience was that I was respectfully confronting him, but respectfully.
yeah.
And then we started talking, and it turns out that the guy, before opening his bar, which was basically his retirement plan, he used to own a record store his entire life. So we started talking about music, and
No
he
way.
said, dude, the music was good, it was just too noisy, just too loud. And next time I had a party, I invited him.
No way. You invited him. He came.
He came.
Idolo. Idol. Legend.
The guy said the music was too good.
Was
That
too
was
loud.
good, but too loud.
Congratulations. That
That's
speaker
funny.
worked.
That's amazing.
You would be surprised by how much unites us instead of divides us. But we focus too much on our divisions.
Yes.
And therefore we forget our ability to connect. And once we do, you would be amazed by how much the city has to offer.
Yep.
And its people. I mean, really. I mean, especially now, since I'm at having this vantage point, you would be surprised by what kind of international class people we have.
Yes.
Be it artists, be it academics, be it politicians, be it economists, be it whatever you want. You'd be surprised, because Maastricht is very attractive.
Yes.
A lot of people come here. And that is what is so sad, is that we're missing out the potential between the young generation, if only they could, if only they knew, and the older generation, if only they could.
If only they knew.
If only they knew. Yeah,
And if you bring that together, dude, then I'm confident in progress and I'm confident in positive prospects. And that is why it is so important, what I was mentioning before as well, this role which you are playing, which you are taking upon yourself, is to basically magnify, shine a spotlight, literally. And this is something which you need to make sure that you are inviting all aspects of the coin, both sides of the coin.
Yes.
That makes people think, and that's what I was
Maturity.
talking about.
Maturity. Really difficult. Really.
Comes. Everybody comes to it. But that is something which you can hasten, you can facilitate. And when you do that, that's when you do, like, you are a force for good, you're building something. And that's only when you build something like that, that something will stay, that you leave a legacy behind you.
Legacy. That's
Otherwise, you're
That's
gone
true.
and you will be replaced.
Also,
You
we
stay
are
2
here.
years and you go away.
Yes, we are here to give you guys, like, that's a podcast for the city as well, but for the students, because when you arrive here, as you said, 18 years old, 19 years old, you don't know nothing. You don't know your rights. So I want to ask him something, maybe because I heard from Ricardo. Like, if I am a student, okay, I'm 19 years old, I can't afford a lawyer.
Perfect.
What I can do?
Thank you. Excellent question, and I wanted to discuss this. In general, first, legal advice is for free. So whenever you go see a lawyer, the first meeting you have with them, it's free. They tell you what is your chances, what is your case. But even without that, to take it back to housing, if you have an issue with your landlord, for instance, your rent is too high, you think it's not reflective of what the market is, or like the quality is too bad, needs to be changed, whatever. In Holland, we have an organization which we call the Huurcommissie.
Oh yeah.
Huurcommissie.
The huur.
So
It's like a
renting.
renting.
Rental committee.
Oh yeah.
HUUR commissie. You'll
Okay.
find it up. And
Terror means on rent.
Yeah, I know. The huur, the cop. The cop is for.
and this commission, what it does is it's a national agency, very very powerful. What it does is that it's basically how do you call it, a consumer protection agency. In this case, tenant protection agency.
Okay.
If it turns out that your rent has been too high or not, the landlord hasn't been providing the services, you can email them and they will look into your case and they can set the rent. They can force the landlord to change the rent.
Wow.
And there is no case he need to pay something.
No, this is for free.
No.
Sorry. No, the landlord that for 2 years was let you
Yes,
paying.
yes.
There is like money
Of course,
back
of
or
course.
money at the thingy. But
I'm not a specialist, but I would surprise me if it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Compensation.
That's really interesting. I also know here in Maastricht specifically, at the Student Service Center, they offer a service from this company specifically, where they give service to the students in order to get lawyers. For example, my first year, when I came here, I had problems with my landlord, as I was saying before. He didn't want to give us our deposit, which was in that case like 600, 700 euros. Still,
But still, for a student, it's a
no,
lot.
it's a lot of money, I think. But that's regardless of that, they helped us.
Yeah.
Like we didn't pay. I think we paid 90 euros in advance, but they gave them back to us.
Yeah, yeah.
All of them.
No
I think
way.
even more. They gave
No way.
they gave back to
I
us.
think they are called Huurteam Zuid-Limburg.
Good team, yeah.
I think
Good team.
they changed the name in between, but excellent service public service they provide. And
Absolutely.
I know the people there, and they're doing amazing work. And more than that, they're really experts. They've seen everything, all the kinds of scams, all the kinds of infringements. So they know everything.
Yeah.
And you can go to them, and they will help you very well.
Yeah.
So you get a huurcommissie, you get a huurteam, and then you have juridisch advies. So there's an office next to Square 92, plein 92. Het juridische loket, it's called. And this is also another public service for free, where you can get legal advice on general issues. Most of them are related to rent. And on top of that, indeed, the university now has, I believe, a special task force which is working on discrimination as well, so you can approach them as well. And of course, police.
Yeah.
In a way, when a landlord is doing something illegal, you've got your rights. You're protected.
Only to inform
Like,
yourself, only
like
to ask.
saying Dutch girls only, it's illegal.
Yeah,
You can go to the police and say
It's crazy.
anonymously, not anonymously.
Let's
Report.
advise again. Let's advise again to the students. Be careful with the scams. Be careful. Never send money. How you say?
Never rent
before,
an
yeah.
house that you haven't seen before.
Exactly. Oh, that's. I mean,
I think that's the best suggestion.
unfortunately,
that
I don't want to judge you, but how come you send
No,
money?
no,
without,
man.
bro, that's
You're-
crazy.
you're
I
desperate.
understand.
You're
Yeah, I
desperate.
understand.
I
But
completely understand.
really, be careful because it's your own money. You're young, and 400, 500,000 is a lot of money. So be careful. And another advice: really listen. Maybe you will tell you will tell me that's good work. You enter your place, new place, make pictures. Make picture, makes a
Also
selfie with the wall. Make a selfie with the kitchen.
Also when
With
you go
selfie with
out.
everything. And when you go out, make pictures. You will win a lot of money. If you want money, maybe you don't want.
You will have your deposit back.
Not only if the landlord will try to steal the money, legal case, baby, coming. So always, that's my father told me when I was 12. So I know I entered my first
but
apartment.
as a 18-year, 19-year-old person that you enter in a new apartment, you don't know it. But I think the best advice we can give is literally, if you're not in the city, send someone that you know to visit the apartment. Don't rent anything without having the confirmation that
Yes.
that place is from that renter or that place even exists. Because
Yes.
some people just put even
I know. I heard a lot of scams.
Let me add another extra
Absolutely.
layer of a tip is that because like I can understand, I can easily imagine there are some issues which you cannot easily go to the police. There are some issues you cannot easily go to. You don't want to talk to anyone. Another tip is go talk with your representative. Our emails are public domain. Usually they always end with @Maastricht or @gemeenteraad Maastricht. First name, last name. You can go on the website of the municipality. You will see who the parties are, who those politicians are. They are there to serve you.
Right.
That's literally our function, our responsibility. Text me as much as you want. Have my number. It's.
Now we got you. Now we have the contact. After this episode, we'll receive not 400 mails, 4,000. You will understand.
But there's also a level of confidence you have here, and in the sense of this is also our. In Dutch, we have the saying. The formal word for representative is volksvertegenwoordiger. It translates, I'm a spokesperson for the people.
Okay.
So you have anything to say. I am your spokesperson. So whatever issue there is, give it to me. I can put pressure, I can influence the politics, I can propose a law,
Yeah.
make something.
Use the power you got.
And and you would be surprised by how much we can get through. As long as I am here, I will do it, you know. And when I was a student here, we didn't have this. I mean, like, not we. There were city councils, and I'm sure they've always been helpful. But I think maybe I'm the first one here, this show at least, who's making this,
Definitely
who's
the
making
first
this
one.
announcement. And I hope there will be many more after me. But you know, help us, help you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's very important to stress this thing about people really have to come directly to the responsible of the city to, you know, if they really want change, you know, because yeah, making their voice hearing through social networks, manifestation, sometimes cannot be enough, you know. But there is people like Alex, like Alexander, that can really influence the decision we are gonna take. And I think if we put all ourselves to, you know, understand what we really want for society, we understand maybe there's problems we can deal now, maybe there's problems we are gonna have to deal after, we can go straight to something more positive, at least, like, for example, in this podcast.
Yes.
I mean, maybe this is a way to close it in an opening way, is that we today talked mainly about housing, but there are so many other issues which relate to students. You know,
Yes.
like a very controversial one, or a very public one at least, is biking, park bikes. You know, like for instance. Another important issue is, for instance, having the information on the website published in English, for instance,
Yeah.
of the municipality. You know, like having that kind of information
Yeah.
being made in English. But then there's also issues such as sustainability. You want to make sure that your city is sustainable wherever it can be. You want to be sure that, also, by the way, the University Council, also a very interesting organ, because if you have ideas how to change the university, you can also do this. The university is also a
Yes.
certain type
Itself.
of democratic institution
Yeah.
with the University Council. And by the way, also I want to big applause in this advocacy effort which we have done these last few months on housing. The biggest support, the only support I've received, was from the University Council.
Really?
Yes, most of the support I got.
Which
from-
action they took?
Good question. When the crisis was hitting hardest, there was a group of 4 students, I believe. And they got like 4 leaders, and they built up a little community. And what they did is they started this couch surfing initiative, as the West Maastricht. They even went so far, and bravo, that when this critical vote happened about a contingency plan, they went to talk to the representatives of the other parties to say, please vote for this, please vote for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finally, even a student with more experience understood that even in a politician political situation in the city where you're living and studying, you can make a vote and change stuff.
Dude, I mean, for instance, I can imagine this is a very popular topic here, has been very popular for me as well, is the landbouwbelang. I'm sure you guys know. LBB. You know, one of the last places where you can still have that kind of freedom and partying all night and the kind of margins of society.
Yeah.
A show of cultural diversity.
Everyone
We claim
went.
to be a cultural city, but only a certain type of culture. Also,
Say it's a free, for the people who don't know what LBB is a free space.
it's a free zone, yes.
It's
So
a free space
basically,
in Maastricht.
it's a huge organized squat,
Yeah,
and which has become almost like a cultural center.
yeah.
And it's, I believe, the biggest comparable cultural center in this way, in this system, in Netherlands.
Oh.
And it has
Yeah.
a network throughout all of Europe. Huge, amazing underground cultural exchange happening here with other places
Okay.
like Copenhagen, like Bern, and you name it.
Some crazy DJs play LBB.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And
Underground scene at its finest.
and this is another issue which is very important for our audience, for our people, for our community. And again, I mean, like when it came the important vote, I was again the only one, you know. And I wasn't even saying so much that we need to, I was not even saying anything controversial. I was just saying, if we're going to move them out, because we want to redevelop this area,
Of course.
we need to have another policy where to put it somewhere else. Because we need these kind of things in the city center. Because those are the places where you create, where you have creativity, which leads to innovation. And it was not easy, you know. And I hope that the next 4 years, be it me or be it someone else, will have it easier to be able to make sure that these kind of interests are represented accordingly.
That's
I
true.
completely agree.
That's true.
It's, I mean, I want to be careful because I don't want to too much talk about politics in the sense of please vote, 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 vote.
Absolutely not.
Vote, 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 vote.
No, but we can also say.
Oh no!
When's the next election? Because we don't
Good question.
know. Because we
No,
don't know.
Good question.
Actually, never.
In March.
You never go.
Netherlands had situation like this, democracy. But actually, the Netherlands is it's not democracy. It's monarchia parlamentare.
Parliamentary
Constitutional monarchy.
Yes,
constitutional monarch. But the monarchs, they have no power.
I know. I prefer Morocco. I'm joking.
But-
Yeah,
No, but-
I'm gonna put a picture of the Moroccan king because he's stylish as.
Yes.
If you wanna come here.
No, but this king Malik, this king of Morocco, did a lot of good things. It's
No, but let's go back to what we were saying.
But no, March to 2020.
March 2020.
20, what am I saying?
2022.
huh?
2022. So
Last year.
so in
This
the-
March,
in
next
the-
month,
next
yeah.
March.
Next March. Okay.
But
Read,
yes,
read what people, are
Inform
putting
yourself.
there.
I'm saying to myself, inform yourself.
good one.
It's true.
Because-
I'm being honest.
No, because more than that, you would be surprised by which parties you presume represent, have a sensitivity for our cause, but actually completely vote against it. That is what has been my biggest disappointment. There has been a couple of parties you would not expect have been the biggest proponents of these restrictive housing, of moving this not accommodating the cultural possibility.
Yeah.
Biggest imposter then.
That's the old school politics.
Among us imposter.
That's us.
The old school politics. And please indeed inform yourself correct, like
Generally,
wisely.
yeah.
And don't presume, don't think because they have something in the name that that's what they truly are.
No, I don't think so. That's the stupid
Absolutely.
way to do it, to be honest.
No, but
It's,
we have to say that I think it's really important to document yourself on what parties are pushing.
But
And
Not just what they are saying, but what they did.
yeah, exactly.
Look at what their voting behavior has been. That
Okay.
shows you the real thing. In a party program, you can put anything you want. The moment the party program is just for the elections. The moment you have coalition talks, the program goes basically to waste, and there's a big basic idea of okay, what are we going to accommodate each other? It's going to be completely something different.
that's amazing.
Amazing.
What I can say, Alex, you leave me without any
A lot of questions.
Words.
like
A
a
lot
lot
of
of
questions,
like no
exactly.
words exactly because like how
Let's
many
say-
things we can link with you.
So many. But let's say
Everything which involves the city.
But the city, the life. Why?
Philosophy.
Yeah, no,
he's
really.
been in the city for 10 years and he's putting his life on really, he wants to put his life to work for the people. in a way, at least from what I got from this.
But how you say in English, miniera d'oro?
Gold mine.
For me, you're a gold mine. Why? You got more experience than me. I got more experience than you. You're a student of 20 years old. So you can. Why cut? Why? Because like it's true. I talk with you. I talk with you, and I know better. You understand?
Yes.
And with my 4 years old, like 4 years here experience, I can give you my experience.
Ahmed, I am not a gold mine. I am at best a mine. The real gold happens when we are coming together and talking together. That is when we make gold.
Okay.
Exactly.
We are together. We are just miners, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
We need to dig the real gold, and
That's true.
gold we need to find.
Yeah, because the society gives us the I told you before, egoism. We are thinking only about ourselves. So that's why when we are together, we don't want to link. So you think you are gold. That's a nice metaphor. So it's true. You said it before also. It's good when you realize when your landlord come like complains about something and you start to talk and you invited your neighbor to the party. That's the best example. Like it's true. It's
Yeah,
true.
I think we really need to build this connection between the dirigent class and students, but not only students, journalists, people in general.
Yeah, there's no class.
We need to understand that you are not unaccessible people. As we managed to invite you here, anybody could, but in a way, as we managed to invite you here, anybody can be able to speak with you.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so there is an element. I get what you're saying. I have a certain responsibility. This responsibility gives me a certain vantage point and gives me a certain power. But that's what I was telling you in the beginning. It is not my seat. It is not my power. I'm just merely renting it.
Yeah, you are, in the sense, you can be used as a tool.
I can use it as a tool, but the moment I stop being, and not even that,
useful.
What I always say is that when you are a politician, when you become an elected representative, there becomes a certain type of schizophrenia you need to develop, because you have your private person and your public person.
Oh yeah.
And you cannot take everything personally, because then you go crazy.
Absolutely.
So you need to, some people have different coping mechanisms. My mechanism is that I've created a certain level of schizophrenia. I hope it's still healthy.
In a good way, let's say.
In a good way.
Just dissociation between the two parts, political and...
What I'm trying to say is that I am a temporary holder of this responsibility, but it is not my seat. It's the seat of the people.
Yes.
It's the power of the people. Mm-hmm. I just happen to be, by accident or not so much an accident, the temporary one. For the time being, I'm there. But that is also like a deadline. And if it happens that I stop next year, this has been the most amazing experience ever, because it changes your life. It changes your life completely. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is that I wish everyone could experience this.
Yeah.
Because I believe this is the most human experience you can get.
Yes, you realize.
And not just the realization, but the experience of, my God, in the first days after my election, I was receiving emails from all different communities which I didn't know existed.
No way.
And they were saying congratulations, sir, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wow, they also exist here. This is also their city. And we share the city. And that's the experience. That's the cool thing. My only power is because I have this link now. I have become the central point where everybody can come to. But anybody can take this point. Anybody can be this point. And that's the biggest message I want to pay, is that we don't need a spokesperson anymore, because you have all the knowledge, all the words in yourself. We just need to make your words louder.
Yeah.
And then you become your own spokesperson, you become your own politician.
That's true.
That's amazing. It's absolutely
So
amazing.
you become that kind of powerful guy.
You become that guy. You can be the next one.
Everyone. That's true.
Absolutely.
That's true. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for,
very much for your time,
This
Alex.
last
Alhamdulillah.
message. That's Alhamdulillah. Oh my God.
Alhamdulillah.
You know everything. Skills in Arabic. But how many languages you speak?
Fluently, I speak three, I believe, English, French, Dutch, and Russian, and ich verstehe Deutsch.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Parle français bien.
Amazing.
Okay.
Amazing. Thank you
Okay.
for coming, Alex.
Merci,
It
merci
was a
beaucoup.
pleasure to have you.
Merci beaucoup. Really.
De rien, je stop niet. I appreciate it.
À la prochaine.
À la
À la
prochaine.
prochaine.
Tot ziens.
Tot ziens.
Next time, because we will contact you when you will have time and talk about more topics in the future.
With more
We,
people
we,
as
we
well.
really, I really
Definitely.
enjoyed. I really
Definitely,
enjoyed. That's why I'm already saying I'm inviting him for sure. And I will ask you 6 months before this time, like.
First look at your audience, if this has been interesting
that's
or not.
true. That's true.
In
That's
the
true.
second season, maybe.
Yes, why not?
Spoiler
Why not?
alert.
So thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank
Guys.
you for the time as well. And,
Yes, guys, that was really a difficult.
You can see Ahmed is
Oh my
very
God,
tired.
I'm tired because of how, bro. It's like
You
how.
spoke a lot.
Because no, bro, I realize I'm lazy. I need to inform myself more. You're right. Like how things, information we have around every day, and we don't give a shit. Sorry to say shit, but we are so lazy. We don't want to know nothing, and the world is walking in the future, and you're still there. Please don't do my mistake. Yeah? But I'm trying to get better every day. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I really enjoyed. Really. Next time, come here, sit with us, and watch, please.
And you can enjoy it.
Thank you very much. So the OFFCAST.
Now it's time to go OFFCAST.
OFFCAST.